Welcome back to the Wildfire video tutorial series. In this segment, you will learn about the art of website design. Let's get started. We'll be learning about the 5 elements of website design. You need white space on your website. Your website should be visually balanced. Choose a color scheme that is appropriate for your visitors. Images are powerful elements of your website. And finally, fonts should be selected with care. White space is the first element of good design. White space refers to areas on the web page with no content at all, no text, no image. Good use of white space helps visitors focus on the content. It helps make the purpose of the web page clear. It helps a visitor to scan the page quickly and decide if it is important to him or not, and it helps to increase readability. You've probably seen a magazine or newspaper page that looks like this. It's very crowded, and it's very difficult to pick something out of here that would be helpful. Bad use of white space can cause your visitor to leave your page without engaging. Here's an example using the same elements of the page, but with more white space. The content stands out more and is easier to read. Here's another example of a better use of white space. Is white space always white? In this example, the white space is actually gray. It's the blank areas that have no content. And in this example, the white space, so-called, is actually black. Let's look at one very well-known example of the use of white space. Google.com has many things to offer, including images, email, news, calendars, maps, Google Drive, Google Translate, and many others. Yet they put almost nothing on their homepage. They leave plenty of white space. To focus attention on something, the best thing you can do is put nothing around it. Here's an example of the poor use of white space. Other elements of this website and what makes it a poor example will be discussed in a few minutes. Another example of the bad use of white space. This website actually has lots of white space, but it's poorly managed. There's lots of content, but it's crowded together, and the white space does no good helping distinguish the content. Here is another example of the good use of white space. Now let's go on to a second element of the art of website design, visual balance on your website. Visual balance on the web page is important for a positive user experience. Every element on the web page has a visual weight, like these boxes, for instance, one lightweight and one heavier. And these elements should be in balance. In this image, the red ball is smaller in size than the white ball on the opposite end of the balance beam, yet it is balanced visually because it's red, and that gives it more visual weight. Here's an example of a web page that is visually unbalanced, with 2 photos on the left side and only 1 on the right. Because it's unbalanced, the web page is less professional and less pleasing to look at. This is one way you can use the same 3 photos and present a very pleasing, balanced layout. You could also just center the lower photo under the top 2. Both of these examples, though different, represent good and effective use of balance. In this last example, we see that the breadcrumbs, the title, the text, and the button on the left balance the image on the right. Now let's look at the third element of the art of website design, the use of color. Colors should be carefully coordinated on the website. This example uses far too many colors that are far too bright. Nobody will want to read this. This example uses too many colors in the fonts. Here are some principles related to the use of color on a website. Colors are not universal. They can vary from culture to culture and from region to region. Colors often have a message and carry emotions. For example, red is a negative color in West Africa, while it's very positive in China. Green stands for God, religion, and authority in many Muslim cultures, but it's associated with death in South American cultures. If you don't understand the cultural context and the use of color, you must study it before making your selections for your website. Never choose your personal favorite color for the website. Most likely, it will be the wrong one in the view of your visitors. You can go to the website shown on the screen to find other helpful insights about the use of color on websites. Moving on to the fourth element of website design, let's talk about the power of images on your website. Use images to attract the interest of a website visitor. Normally, website visitors see things on the page in this order of interest and recognition. First, images. Second, captions that go with those images. Third, the title of the page. And last, believe it or not, text on the page. Here are some rules for the use of images in the content of your website. Use big images, unless the internet connection speed is quite limited or expensive, as big images do take longer to load. Use meaningful images which underline the main message of the page. Use image captions to restate the main message of the page. Place images in a balanced way using the multi-column feature that Wildfire provides. Some Wildfire themes offer the option of using a banner image. This is an image that will show at the top of every page of the website. Here's an example of a banner image. If you use a banner image, use one that is meaningful and that conveys part of the message of your website. Some Wildfire themes also offer the option of using a background image. However, keep in mind that modern website design often recommends not using background images, as they do tend to distract visitors. If you do decide to use a background image, you will see that it appears behind the other content of your website on every page. Usually, it is seen only at the right and left sides of the website. Looking at this website again, we see that the background image here is high contrast and very busy. As a photograph, it tends to draw the visitors to look more at the background image than the actual website content. The final element of the art of website design that we will look at today is the use of fonts, or the style of the letters. There are some good reasons that you may want to use a distinct or special font for your website. You may need to use a regional font with special characters in order to properly display your language. Using a specific font can distinguish your website from others, and a special font may add another dimension to the unique design of your website. Letter styling is also known as typography. It has become an important factor in the style of a website. Wildfire allows you to choose from thousands of fonts in the Google Font Library. To access these, consult your implementation manager. Here are some rules or guidelines for the use of fonts. It is recommended that you use no more than 2 fonts on the website, one for the headings and one for all other text. Make sure that the font is easy to read, both on large screens and small screens. There's a current trend towards using bigger font sizes and less text. You should follow that trend. It is preferable to use a sans serif font for the body text. It is more readable on electronic screens. On the left, you see Arial, a sans serif font, which has no extra little pieces off the ends of the letters. And on the right, you see Times, a common serif font. In summary, from this video, we have learned the 5 elements of the art of website design. Keeping your visitor focused requires good use of white space. as does having proper visual balance. Choose a color scheme that is appropriate for your website visitor. Images provide powerful and important enhancements to your website. Select suitable fonts carefully, as they may provide a unique experience to your visitors. This is the end of this segment of the Wildfire video tutorial series.